just going back to, I know it was just a couple weeks ago, the Ohio State series, but guess I'm wondering, second time around you faced them, where did you think they were better? Where did you think they presented more, more of a challenge than the first go round?
There's a commitment to a few different things. I thought they defended a little bit harder than we did over that weekend. And, they beat us up the rink a couple of different times from our own end all the way back, or from their end all the way back to our post. So I think just identifying that. Secondly, I thought some of their guys that were at the top of the scoring chart on their team really had great weekends. I thought Halliday was a difference maker. I thought Bricky was a difference maker. They're really good hockey players. And it was a series that we learned from, but you've got to tip your hat to Ohio State because that was a weekend that they didn't do it to us once, they did it twice. So, we learned a lot from that weekend, and hopefully we can apply that this weekend.
Kind of a two-parter here on the same lines. The third period's been really good for you all season, scoring-wise. Can you get into what you think has been done there to commit to that, but also that first game at Ohio State, they were able to come back and get that late goal on you in the third period, and we saw where on Friday this last week too, the third period was a little more difficult for you guys. Is there anything in those two performances you would like to see done better to finish a game out, I guess?
Yeah, they're learning experiences. Maybe this isn't the best way to put it, but I'll go here. When you sit there and tell, I remember with my son when he was growing up and he kept jumping off the ottoman onto the floor, and my wife would always put pillows underneath him. I said, you know what, we need, I don't know if we're teaching him exactly what we need to be teaching him, because there's always going to be, we're okay. More often than not in the first half, Kyle McClellan was our pillow. He was a guy that erased some of those mistakes. They didn't go in the back of the net. The two instances that you're talking about, I think that they went in the back of the net. And sometimes you need that to happen for you to be able to learn. And so for us, once they go up on the board, it counts. And we couldn't outkick that issue. We couldn't overcome that. And so they're learning experiences. And that happens as long as we learn from them.
I guess I'm wondering, with the proximity of, the last time you played Ohio State, obviously you don't really have any control over, pairings and brackets and things like that. But do you like just the idea of your guys getting, relatively quick opportunity to kind of, get another shot at Ohio State and kind of maybe show what they can do?
More so, I think for us, what I'm looking forward to is that we're playing at home. We're not getting on a bus. We're not getting on a plane and traveling. So we want to take advantage of that. This place has been kind to us in the wins and losses column over the season. We've had to go earn that, and it's going to be no different this weekend. But it's more so that than who we're playing. It's a second season. Everything's wiped clean. Our record doesn't matter when the puck drops on Friday. Their record doesn't matter. It's about trying to win and move on, and you have to do that in the best of three. And so for us, the job in front of us is the one that we're focused on, not so much who we're playing.
The magnitude of things that you saw last weekend, how important was that to see that before you get to the postseason? Because it's going to be a little bit like that where now your team's futures are on the line, and you got a little bit of a taste of what that was like last week.
Yeah, I've always said this. Not always, I should say, as I've grown in experience from being a head coach, it's hard to end somebody's season. For us to not be able to move on, for Ohio State not to be able to move on, those are experiences you need to go through. Both teams have had guys on their rosters that have gone through that. For us, it's an important learning experience last week and not getting it done on Friday. As you and I talked when we were sitting here on Friday night and then Saturday, our guys did a really good job at just resetting and moving on, and they've done that this year multiple times, and we're going to need that whether we're fortunate on Friday. Friday doesn't go our way, Saturday's coming, and we've got to be prepared for whatever is in front of us, and that's what we're trying to do through this week, through our preparation and our dailies, to make sure that we're as prepared as we can be for what Friday delivers.
I think you kind of just touched on it there a little bit, but I mean, you guys have been pretty good in situations this year where you've lost the first game of a series and been able to come back in that second game. For you as a coach, how pivotal is game one on Friday night to try to get the momentum early and try to get that first game under your belt?
I think in any short series, which is a 3-game series, game one's incredibly important. It doesn't guarantee you whatever the outcome. The one thing I can tell you is Saturday's going to happen, right? And you want to be in as best position as you can be on Saturday, and so that's taking care of Friday. It's important for us to just continue to do what we've been doing, and that's concentrating on what our dailies are so that Friday can go as well as it can. There's going to be peaks and valleys on Friday. There's going to be momentum swings. What we've done up until this point is we've managed those pretty well, and we've got to put the same effort and attitude into what we're going to be doing on Friday as we have previously so that we're prepared.
You touched on it earlier about, it's tough to end another team's season. This tournament, you're not doing that, but how do you kind of focus on not letting that and the playoffs and, this could be your last game, this kind of focus in on the preparation? How do you kind of just focus on the game or just, not let anything change?
I go all the way back to the experience that we've had from our first opportunity to be together here at the Kohl Center and play, our first opportunity against Augustine. Those opportunities you try to learn from when we were here in October all the way to where we're at right now. I'll lean on the same leadership group that started us down this journey together on focusing on what they get to control. And Friday's not here. So we've got a lot to do before that opportunity shows itself, but we're going to ask them to go back on what their experiences have been up to this point and ask them to just stay on that. It has served them well. They've done a really good job at focusing on that because they don't get to control anything else. And there's enough on that plate for everybody. So we're going to prepare against Ohio State as best we can. They do present problems just because of the depth that they have, the defensive core. Really, they're playing some of their best hockey here over the last month. And so they're going to bring their A game, and we have to bring ours.
I know it's starting to get into the window where Lindmark was hoping to be starting to get back into things. Can you give us an update on where he's at and what the outlook might be like time-wise?
He's day-to-day right now. He's back out skating and going through that, and so it's going in a really good direction, positive progression daily. And we just want to make sure that we're putting him in his best position to be successful. But he's out skating again with everybody.
Just curious, you talked about Kyle being that pillow back there in the net. I mean, how have you seen him as a guy who's played a lot of games continue to grow over the course of this season, through some ups and downs?
I think he really showed himself on Saturday at going out and playing as well as he did. And he's been a really big piece to this entire season for our group. When his number's been called, he wanted to have it called again on Saturday. He earned that opportunity, and I thought he went out and performed. Nobody's harder on Kyle than Kyle, so that's a good thing when you're a coach that maybe sometimes doesn't always look at the sunny side of the rock. He's somebody he's got a tough exterior to himself, and he puts his work in, and he'll do no different this week.
Can I ask you what you saw in Cilia out of the transfer portal a few years back and what you saw out of him the last few years to want him again to come here this season? What were the things that jumped out about we could really use this guy in these situations?
It's an interesting question because I think they're two completely different perspectives from my standpoint. At the time when he was in the transfer portal with Clarkson, leaving Clarkson, there was a couple of conversations. They weren't long, and it was just what the opportunity was going to be based upon what our need was as a program at that time. And it was, we needed somebody to come in and be successful on the dot, kill penalties, fill a role for us maybe in a top 9 opportunity, but no guarantees. The thing that I really appreciated about David, he wasn't looking for guarantees. He was looking for opportunity. He wanted a change of address, and he wanted to see if he could kind of carve out his place at a different zip code. And when he came in from day one, just went to work, earned a lot of trust, a lot of respect. The year previous to coming to Wisconsin and entering the portal, he had a fantastic season, and it was because every time there was an opportunity, he went and made the best of it. And so there was a little more rubber on the road when he enters the transfer portal and was, searching out where he was going to go. He had other opportunities at very good programs, and just his versatility and bringing in what I saw as a human being on his dailies, I knew it would be zero maintenance for myself, our staff, our strength coach, because he manages all that like a pro, and he has since day one. And so to be able to interject that into your team and have that on your roster from day one, a guy that can play in a power play, a penalty kill, a top 3, a top 6, but yet also messages the group through his actions the way that he does. I thought it was really important for him to know that we wanted that opportunity, if he chose it to be at Wisconsin. And hopefully, I can tell you from the coach's side, there hasn't been a second of regret, and hopefully from his side, it's been something that it's provided what he wanted it to provide.